Good morning and welcome to another edition of Research Fantasy presents our MLB DFS pitcher picks for Tuesday, July 25th, 2017. It's hard to believe that the days of July are winding down here. We are very close to August. We will be dealing with the NFL preseason in just 1 week. It's hard to believe that. Yeah, I know the Hall of Fame game kind of stands alone before we see the first real week of the preseason take effect, but nonetheless, there will be NFL DFS back in the house. I'm excited. This is our second season covering it, so stay tuned for content like that. Also, make sure to check out the Fantasy Now podcast. It's currently in the process of being reviewed by the iTunes store, and it should be up sometime soon. It's a daily podcast I'm doing about the fantasy industry in general, talking with various players around the industry, as well as representatives, other personalities into fantasy sports, and just going over the slates on a daily basis. So check that out. Once again, the Fantasy Now podcast. In the meantime, let's talk about 3 of my favorite tournament pitchers tonight in baseball. First up, let's go Jon Gray, 17-4 fantasy draft, 6,900 FanDuel, 9K on DraftKings. Nothing has gone his way between dealing with the injuries to his foot and having some trouble coming back into form. Jon Gray has been a relative disappointment. However, I don't believe that is the whole story. I do believe that this is a talented pitcher. Might he have some struggles with the St. Louis Cardinals? Absolutely. But nonetheless, he's a guy on a night where I don't really love a lot of the pitching options out there. I feel like this is the case every night. At max, I get like 6 pitchers that I really like. Tonight, it's really not too many guys at all. But I think Gray's skill set is fair, and especially on FanDuel, that price is ridiculous. 6,900 for a guy who could be a top 4 scoring pitcher if everything goes his way. Sign me up for that all day. Moving on from there, let's go with Seth Lugo, 15-2 fantasy draft, 7,800 FanDuel, 7,700 on DraftKings. At some point, I might have to stop picking on the San Diego Padres because they are putting runs up on the board, which immediately negates most upside from most pitchers. Lugo has seen things turn on a little bit more over the last several weeks here, so that's why he's getting the nod. It's not just because he's facing the Padres. It's because things look like they're coming together for him. We know the Padres can strike out a lot, so that does give him a better floor. If he could withhold giving a lot of runs up, I think we could be looking at a guy who could post a very solid fantasy outing tonight. My favorite pitcher of the night, Madison Bumgarner, 18-9 fantasy draft, 10-2 FanDuel, 9,700 on DraftKings. Like I mentioned in my article on Research Fantasy, it's getting to the point where we have to think long and hard about putting Bumgarner on this list. His results haven't been there. I mean, I know that the injury has been there, but he's had 2 games against the Padres since then. Neither one looked good. Now he gets the Pirates, who just scorched Matt Cain yesterday. And look, this is a good pitcher's park, but the Pirates aren't a high strikeout team to begin with. And with Bumgarner just not in good form, I really just wonder what the upside is here. And the upside is that his price is falling around the industry. Now, FanDuel is always a late adopter. They're consistently the odd man out. Fantasy Draft and DraftKings pretty well mirror one another in terms of the pricing construct. And so they both have Bumgarner as the 3rd highest priced pitcher on the day, whereas on FanDuel he's the top dog. At 9,700, I mean, that's just to me, that's too good to pass up, and I think way too many people around the industry are going to feel the same way. If he has another poor outing, I think that's when you'll see the pricing really drop. But with him priced at this level, knowing that he can give you the upside of a 13K plus pitcher if everything ends up turning on for him, too good to be true in tournaments. I think the ownership will be there, but it's just one of those situations where you have to decide if this is the chalk you need to have in your lineup or the one you need to fade. Thanks for watching tonight. Make sure to check us out at researchfantasy.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Like us on Facebook at Research Fantasy. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.